Namaskar, speaking is on the dice and off the dice. As they say, this is Vidwanon ki Sabha. Both sides we have stalwarts in the field of knowledge, education and academics. I pronounce to each one of you. There are so many friends and gurus sitting in this particular audience, and it's an honor to present some of my thoughts on case studies in Bharatiya management. And my humble thanks to all the organizers for inviting me over here. I was just looking at this particular topic, case studies in Bharatiya management, and then suddenly I was asking myself, should I be talking about the case studies where I have applied Chanakya, or should I be a case study myself of how to actually make Chanakya popular? And I thought that I will present on three things today, given the 20 minutes that I have, is probably my little journey of Chanakya and Arthashastra. Second is the academic impact in the Bharatiya management field, and the third is social impact. Because I think all these three areas are interconnected, and the common denominator for me is Arthashastra of Kautilya. So let me start with my little study of Arthashastra. Many people ask me, how did you enter into the field of Chanakya? And I don't know why people call me Chanakya Pillai and all that. That is somebody who's posting on Facebook. In fact, that's probably an honor for me, but it's a dishonor for somebody like Chanakya. But it's nice to get related to a particular field. A particular person. So if you look at Sachin Tendulkar, okay, he's a cricketer. You look at Lata Mangeshkar, she's a singer, Rajinikanth, an actor. So I think somewhere I discovered my Swadharma with the Chanakya field that I'm in. It's been almost like baby step which got it snowballed into all the things that I'm doing. So let me start by answering that my first connection with Chanakya has been like any one of us sitting over here. The concept of saying that our country also has some great stalwarts. Nothing wrong, I think that's the starting point, and all of us were introduced to Chanakya maybe through an Amar Chitra Katha or a television serial of Chanakya, or maybe some Dadi Ma Ki Kahani. I think, and concepts like Samadana Dandagada. I think Chanakya was never forgotten, but I think not given that much importance. So I think my journey was like anyone of them. But the good part is that two things actually attracted me to Chanakya a little bit more. That is my connections in childhood with Chinmaya Mission, and the second is my aptitude for research. So what happened right from the beginning, right from childhood, I've been part of Chinmaya Mission. My whole family has been part of Chinmaya Mission, and thanks to the great culture that they have been trying to revive. So Bhagavad Gita to Upanishads, we've been studying since children, and that's something that got interested. But Swami Chinmayanji, many of you may be knowing him, somebody may have worked with him, seen him. He always believed that he's not taking a lecture, but he's actually taking a lecture for the masses. So if you attended his Bhagavad Gita, Gita Jnana Yajna, he said, there is your Gita book, so every shloka would be chanted. And he said, for me, I'm actually taking a class. And for those early people may know it, actually after the end of the 7-day discourse, he said, okay, please write down notes and I will correct it, I will give you prize also. So I think somewhere he was trying to make the research very serious, adhyayan. So if you look at it, probably the Chinmaya Mission base was there, and my research, understanding the Shastra in a very detailed manner was always there as a child. Right now with the Chanakya, the Arthashastra, I have written 15 books, and all books are bestsellers. And I've got into 2 audio books. Not many people know this over here, and academicians should know this. The next format is going to be audiobooks. In fact, there is a huge money being invested into India to actually create the audiobook market. If you know there are iPods and all those things. So they are actually creating it. So people now have changed, they say, from book reading to visual, isn't it? Videos and all that. So people are viewing more than reading more. But the next generation is actually about listening more. And I always believe it's coming back full circle, Shravana Matrena. So I think the rest of us are discovering that the jnana has to come from your this indriya. And why I'm telling you this, that 2 major companies approached me when my books became popular. One is Amazon and the other is Storytel. I don't know if you heard about these 2 companies. Amazon has got a division called as Audible. So Audible is into audiobooks in a major way. So they actually called me from Singapore and we want original content. So I have written not 15 books which is in the physical and the e-format. Actually, 2 books were written on Chanakya, which is actually being launched now. And they say the gestation for is 8 years. India will understand the importance of audiobooks, not now, but 8 years. but they're investing money for the next 8 years. So I've actually created content which is there in the audiobooks with Storytel and Amazon. And interestingly, I got into 2 Bollywood movies. Why am I telling you all these things? This is the popularity part of it based on research. So one movie which we made around 5-7 years ago based on my book Corporate Chanakya was Chanakya Speaks. It's an Indian management film produced by Shimaru. It's a Bollywood production house. Quite popular, but it was not a theoretical release. But the second movie that I got involved in is a very major Bollywood movie called Chanakya. It's been under production now by Neeraj Pandey. I don't know if you heard about Neeraj Pandey. He makes quite a good movies based on research, right from Wednesday to MS Dhoni, Toilet, Baby, Rustam, all those, So I've been fortunate. They just called me up and said, we like to know about Chanakya. We had a very informal meeting. They say, okay, we know the story part of it, but we need to get into the strategy part of it. So I'm actually heading the research. You'll see the movie later on. Ajay Devgan is acting. There are a huge, 400 crores fund and all those things. Why am I telling you all these things from my case study is that it all started with a very basic pride about India and Indianness, but now it's going to the popular level also. So I think that's my thing. The journey has been almost 20 years from baby steps, and I think I got at least 20 or more before I die, minimum. So I think the journey is only going to evolve. But that's about my case study. But let me go to the second part of it, which is the academic impact which it made. To be very frank, I was not a great student. I was an average student. But study for me was never going into formal colleges alone. It was also doing research with the books. So I think somewhere in my house that culture of reading books always remained. So I think I tried to bring out as much books of Arthashastra possible. So I got a personal collection of more than 400 varieties of Arthashastra. That itself is a collection. But if you read 400 different versions, you actually land up at the Mysore University where you see the first Arthashastra. Some of you may know it, the Shama Shastri discovery. So for those who are the lovers of Arthashastra, that's like a temple. So somewhere this happened and I just landed up learning Sanskrit thanks to Workshop-Bharatiya and so many organizations. I just went out and said, I don't understand the Arthashastra by just reading the translation in English. Translation is good for a start. I went and did my MA in Sanskrit and I landed up in Kerala where actually I studied at the Chinmaya International Foundation. Now it's Chinmaya University. Adhivan sir was also part of this. So what happened is that I went over there, I studied the complete 6,000 sutras of Arthashastra in original Sanskrit, and they said, why do you write a research paper? To be very frank, I didn't understand what a research paper meant. But Dr. Gandharan had made me write a research paper and got published. So I thought, okay, and then one day Times of India suddenly called me and said, you have done Arthashastra research. Yeah, but that is for application in my own little business that I run. No, but why didn't you come and meet? So I went over there. They were starting a new newspaper called as Mumbai Mirror. It's quite popular in Mumbai. And they said, why don't you write a column? I said, what column? I can write, but I don't know columnist. So we will guide you. So they created a small column which is to come in the business section called as Wealth Script. Script is scripture, wealth is artha. And I wrote more than 175 articles. It became very popular in Mumbai. A lot of people started calling me. Actually, I studied Chanakya application business. But to be very frank, till this particular point, I was not very much into academics. But something changed. One day I got a mail from one of the principals of a college in Mumbai and said, I am presenting a paper on Arthashastra and management in the Mumbai University's philosophy department. Why don't you come as an expert advisor? I said, what? Expert advisor to academicians? But then with all that fear in my mind, I went over there. There were scholars like this, Vidwanon ki Sabha. And the madam, Geeta ji, I still remember her name, she presented a paper and it was Bombay Philosophical Congress. That's the organization which had organized the lecture. They suddenly called me and said, please give an expert opinion on what she spoke. But I don't know any expert, but I can tell you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the philosophy department head, Dr. Shubha Joshi, invited me into her cabin and said, you're good, I read your columns. Why don't we do something? Something what? Saying that you come from the corporate world, and we come from the academic world. Can we look at collaboration? I said, definitely. That's where the journey started. I walked in and we actually did a 5-year major research project in Mumbai University. I actually got 50 lakh rupees from the corporates. And this whole thing was sponsored by the corporates. And we took a very interesting 5-year major research project. We took a batch of young boys and girls, 15 years old, who actually wanted to learn Arthashastra. 6 months they actually stayed in the university, did not pay a single fee. And they learned the 6,000 sutras of Arthashastra. We took them across India. Delhi, South, Kanyakumari to Gujarat to Assam. As Gandhiji says, till you see India, you don't understand India. After 6 months, these young boys and girls were put in the political system. Some of them actually won elections. So this was the first batch, second batch. After the 5 years, we realized what Shubhra Joshi madam had said, that we need to look at Arthashastra from a modern perspective. Can the Chanakya Arthashastra applied to Chandragupta Maurya be applicable to the Chandragupta Mauryas of this generation? And we tried this, and that committee came in and they actually gave us a 5-star rating, and philosophy department suddenly was like the role model for the other department in Mumbai University, thanks to Dr. Shubhra Joshi's leadership and openness to look at something differently. What was interesting in this particular period of 5 years, I got interested in academics. I completed my PhD. Luckily, by the grace of God, some books started coming out. The Corporate Chanakya was my first book. And in that 5 years, 2-3 more books came out. And suddenly, I got a gold medal. I got a governance fellowship. I was suddenly sent as a Mumbai University team to go around different parts of the world, enjoying that phase of life. But after 5 years, the major research project was over, and I said, okay, let me go back to my business now. I had a business coming from the corporate world. And suddenly we were in an international conference, and Shubhra Joshi madam was also retired. And suddenly she told the vice chancellor, sir, isko chodna nahi. What do you mean by chodna nahi? This guy will go back to the corporate world, going back to the academic world. I didn't understand. He said, okay, now you have done so much work on Chanakya, your PhD research is good, it's on leadership. We will start a new institute in Mumbai University which will be focusing on leadership. I said, what do you mean? So technically you are making me the HOD of a new department. Yes. And I told you very frank, 2-3 months I did not understand what it means. And I still don't understand, by the way. So suddenly it happened that we started a new institution called the Chanakya International Institute of Leadership Studies. Formulated in 2016, we offer master's courses, PhD courses, and we have academic collaborations with a lot of institutions which I will be talking about. It is the youngest but the most budding universities. And let me also tell you, Artha Eva Pradhanayati Kautilya, the richest part of Mumbai University. We get funds in crores of rupees. And we get stars. So how did this happen? I don't know, to be very frank, but I'll tell you what's very important is that in spite of all these things, academically we are doing something which is amazing. We have students who do the postgraduate degrees. We have a weekend program, we have a regular program. In weekend programs, we have actually students coming from Bangalore every week, okay, from this city every week, Saturday, Sunday. We have a lady who comes from UAE, United Arab Emirates, every week. And they are working professionals, by the way. So the first thought was, okay, we are doing something good. So there is a center where Arthashastra is being taught in a modern format, and the students are coming. That's what we have our friends from Mumbai University. We have students over here from the Jamnadas Institute of Management Studies, etc. So suddenly what happened, the academic impact, and we are very fortunate, so you may be aware that Mumbai University has its own challenges and advantages, and they are both the same, 810 colleges. Imagine the kind of administration the VC has to go through. But the whole idea that I look at as a positive advantage, being a head of a department in the Mumbai University, I realized that I actually have access to 810 college principals. Good or bad? So at one time it's an administrative challenge, but I say it's a gold mine. How many people? So I have friends that I will just call up, okay, let's do a seminar on Arthashastra. Of course, come. So I actually done seminars in more than 350 colleges within Mumbai only. So the whole idea is that academics gives you a base to reach more teachers, and teachers can teach more students. The academic journey has only started accordingly. But let me tell you the third and the last point, which is the social impact. Many times when you start something, you don't know how the impact is. And I have been very clear that Arthashastra is not created by me. It was written by Chanakya. It's an open source knowledge. But what is happening is that because I stayed committed and looking at it from a modern standpoint, because the books are popular, etc., there has been a lot of social impact, and that probably is a case study that we should know. First of all, I started getting into a lot of government projects. So for example, when International Yoga Day was announced, Vinay Sahasrabuddheji, many of you may be knowing, he's the president of CESS, vice president of BJP, but also he's a Rajya Sabha MP. So he was seeing my work in Mumbai University, he represents Maharashtra. He suddenly called me up saying that we want to do something academic in the field of yoga. I mean, everybody's doing, so let's do it. And suddenly we started doing the first academic program. It was Chandigarh, of course, beginning. Then we did in New York, and now it's becoming very popular. So we were quite interested in looking at Arthashastra from a practical application. When Vinayji called me up, I told Shubhra Joshi madam that I am Arthashastra guy, yoga I don't know. Shubhra Joshi madam, don't worry, I know yoga. Because I have been teaching yoga. So what happens, sometimes you may be working on a subject, but some collaboration can happen on other subjects. So we work with a lot of government things. Interestingly, with all the new policies, we get involved into some discussions and all those things. So one is government, there are a lot of case studies there. If somebody wants a detailed list, I can supply that later on. Interestingly, we had a social impact with kids and children. So that's very important. As researchers, we go from A, B, C, D to X, Y, Z. But while we are looking at X, Y, Z, let us not forget ABC. So they are the next generation. One of the books that I wrote is Corporate Chanakya, that is popular. But one very successful book of mine is called Chatur Chanakya. You can just Google it. And I was quite surprised that it is children who require to know Chanakya more. I was in an international conference where I remember a Bangladeshi professor, we were all sitting, it was a defense ministry kind of a conference, and I was talking about Arthashastra and warfare. He said, हमारे देश में, in Bangladesh, we have an image that इस देश में बच्चा चाणक्य सीखता है. I said, wow, maybe it should be true. So this book called Chatur Chanakya actually is very popular, and I have traveled at least 100 schools, and thanks again to the school principals. So it's one of the popular books. So why not the social impact? I'm very happy to see that actually children are getting interested in Chanakya. I've also introduced a very technical subject to children through this storybook. It's called Anvikshiki. All the scholars may know Anvikshiki, but it's a Vidya, Prathama Vidya according to Chanakya, but lost by our generation. So today children are talking Anvikshiki in schools and colleges, which is like, for me, tomorrow it may just become bigger. The third is basically corporate. I would like to just mention 2-3 companies. There are hundreds of companies like Kanaka Sabhapati's or a scholar, when he gives an idea, you never know what impact it can make. So, and it's based on research. So look at what he said. So similarly, I'll just give you 2-3 examples with the corporates, the social impact that we made. I'm on the board of Aditya Birla Group. Luckily, being in Mumbai, being a financial capital, a lot of corporates are there. So we are actually working at the corporate level to help their partners who are SME sectors. So let's say Aditya Birla Group has to sell a chemical product, but they can't do it alone. So they have channel partners. But every channel partner is a businessman by itself. And we realize their problem. So we are actually advising them on how do you make family businesses stronger, and that's where probably his insights comes in. The second thing is there is a company called as Hamleys. I don't know if you've heard about Hamleys. Actually, it's a British company now taken over by India. If you live in the airport, there will be a toy shop. Yes. So we actually help them with the mergers and acquisitions using the Chanakya principles. So actually, it's a very interesting movement for Indian history where you're taking over companies. Another one is TCS, very popular, the person became the chairman of the Tata Group. So TCS, we are actually on the education board. Not many people know about that. TCS has got an education service. But there we are advising, please Indianize Indian management. So they are doing it in a big way. So that's a social impact. There are 2 multinational companies I like to quote over here. There's a company, a German company called Linde. You heard about Linde? They're the first who started refrigerators. So Linde was a scientist or whatever. And now the whole power has shifted to India. Even though it's a German company, the head office is in Baroda. And they were actually telling me, saying that all the members are saying that the future is India, let's understand Indian management. Same thing is happening with a company called as Orange. A lot of people may remember Orange as a mobile company, isn't it? Hutch. But actually Orange 300 years ago was a post office company, like Indian Post, which became a telecommunication company. And we are actually looking at saying that the whole power is shifting towards India, where Orange is looking at saying that we got half of the people, technologies are Indians, let us look at Indian management styles. So these are some of the corporates. Of course, I told you about the Bollywood part of it. I'm going to also talk about the Indian Armed Forces. I'm part of the Defence Services Staff College, DSSC no team, where the Army officers in NDC, National Defence College. A lot of policies are being made. So the interesting part is that a lot of the young Army officers, and of course the Indian Army, Navy, Air Force, are actually looking at Arthashastra as a very important base. The Mandela theory, some of you may know it. The international policies are being very well researched thanks to the whole think tank of the Government of India, IDSA, Institute of Defence Services, staff colleges, etc. So they are looking at it. And finally, of course, the very important point which Kanaka Sabhapati said earlier is the business communities. I think we may look at everything else, but India is working on community models even now. The Kachis, the Gujaratis, the Sindhis, the Marwadis, So there's a lot of pain in them, where their children don't continue their businesses. The Gujaratis, I remember a very stalwart guy, and we had a very important, I think IIT or IIM, one of the very big professors, we got introduced. And that Marwadi person told that IIT professor, saying that, "Aapko humki bilkul zarurat nahi hai. You are useless to me." Business है, फायदा सोचे. So you are useless to me. Why? If I send my child to your institution, he will become a job seeker. For traditions, we were actually job givers. So that pain is that my child should get educated, but come and do my business better. Why are you going and seeking jobs? So there are a lot of emotional issues we handle. I like to wind up here. But since our whole thing is about future, I like to summarize it. And I think I'll give you 5 action points. It's not about me, it's also about you. All of you have done research in your particular field. So if you were to look at it, I think the ground has been laid for Bharatiya management. I see Subhash sir over here and many stalwarts who have struggled in an era where Indian management was not even heard about. And even if you were to talk about shut up, you go to the last bench. And next time I will not even call you. Today, I love you to sit in the last bench. To that particular generation where today the whole world is looking at Indian management. Believe me, I've seen this happening in so many conferences, traveling 22 countries, that when you say Indian management, there was a face, Indian management hai kya? Abhi kya? Indian management hai kya? So from hai kya to hai kya, the same journey, there's a lot of interest. So we have to capitalize on it. So what are the 5 action points I like to summarize with? Number 1, according to me, the demand is there, but the supply has to be from us, the academicians. So the academician has to do the first thing, research. The problem with the researchers is that, after the research, they become very famous and maybe they get some Nobel awards and we stop research. But I believe that research should also go back and become simple and accessible in language. That's what I did, Arthashastra being simplified that a child can also understand. So if you can keep it simple and deep, I think that's where our success is to take Indian management to the masses. Second is pride. Let us also have pride, but also be practical. So pride is not enough. When you go practicality, you need to have actually logical and actually it should be performance based. So when you work with management field, they always talk about results. So we should also be able to give some tangible benefits. So let us think about theory to practice. So there is formats, and I think very important for each one of us sitting over here, the format should be beyond academics. Even I go to the extent of saying non-academic. For example, if you look at any academic textbook at the cover page, and if you look at the cover page of my books, that's the magic difference. So it's packaging. So I'm not saying packaging is the only thing. The content should be packaged well. Most of the academic textbook, if you look at words, isn't it? But if you look at corporate Chanakya, it's got an image. Chatur Chanakya has got a sketch. So try to look at probably the formats being the same but presented in a different manner. So can we get into, I'm not saying get into grammar, but get into glow. Because it should be recognized and that's what the American management does. 7 habits of highly effective people. It's everywhere. The distribution. And I'll be happy to help each one of you personally to how to make academic popular. That's my area of specialization. The 4th point is collaborate. We have come from a generation of competition and now we are understanding collaboration. It was a survival of the fittest. And today it's about collaboration. Let me tell you, we are already collaborating in the academic field. But can we go and collaborate maybe with the industry, which you're already doing, maybe with Bollywood? Maybe with Tollywood. People say, Bollywood, Tollywood is not my game. Believe me, they're also changing. If the Bahubali has done well, it is because of research. So I'm telling you, let's open our mind to different possibilities, new worlds. Probably you can also look at administrative collaboration. IAS, IPS officers, those people who are in power and intelligent, unfortunately, they don't get ideas. We are the people who can pump in ideas. We did this academic program on yoga with Chandigarh, and the IAS officer said, you're doing such a fantastic work. How much money you want? And money, take 2 crores. We didn't even apply, and we academics are used to application of 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 5 lakh rupees. Somebody will sponsor our seminar. Believe me, administration has the power, the budget to sponsor your research. 2 crores without asking is what we get, and that's just a one project I'm talking about. So please look at administration as a strength. And the last part, of course, is politics. Never become political, never get a power game. Academicians have to be above politicians. Raja se bada Rajguru hota hai. Maintain your dignity and grace, but remember, politicians can help you in your work, isn't it? So that's a very fine balance. Chanakya and Chandragupta. Chanakya says, मुझको राजा नहीं बनना है, राजा को राज्य कैसे चलाना है वो सिखाऊंगा. And finally, please be solution minded. Don't give theories. Don't give theories, give solutions, and all of us know solutions practically. And I'm sure with that, Bharatiya management will reach the reach that it has to reach. Thank you so much. Namaskar.